This is the forensic 2-week roadmap to $40,000 a month that I've personally built 50 plus times. So if I were to lose everything tomorrow and I had to build a coaching funnel from scratch, here's exactly how I do it. With no clients, testimonials, no fancy tools, or even a budget. Just completely broke, starting from scratch. So just me and my laptop and the exact 2-week system that I've built backends for over 50 coaches across a dozen different niches. And this is the actual step-by-step process that I follow to get that backend built in just 14 days. I've done this for fitness coaches, trading mentors, e-commerce experts, real estate consultants. Every single one of them hit 40K per month or more using this system. You can see this is a launch I did for a creator that did 76K in their first month. Obviously, you can see that here was a launch. And then this is another creator, 213,000 within the last 3 months as of February 10th. So you can see I've done this before. Obviously, those are just a couple of dashboards. But let's get into it, man. Most people think that building a professional coaching backend takes months. But when you actually know what exactly you're building and in what order, it can take less than 2 weeks. So let's break it down and set the scene. You're a successful business owner. You're making 10 to 20K a month from your main business. Maybe it's e-commerce, maybe it's an agency or freelancing, whatever it may be. You've built an audience. People watch your content like this, whether it's Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, wherever it may be. They ask you questions and they want to learn from you, right? So they comment, they DM you, whatever the case may be. You have an audience, you've built intrigue. So what do you decide? Naturally, I'm going to launch a coaching program. That makes sense, right? So you create the offer and it's solid, right? 3 to 5K for a 12-week coaching program. You know you can deliver the results because you've done it yourself. You post about it on Instagram, you make a few YouTube videos, you tell people to DM them if you're interested, and then crickets, right? Or worse, you get a few people interested, but when you try to close them, they ghost or they say, I need to think about it. And then you never hear from them again. Sound familiar? Probably. That's what 90% of the coaches I've worked with dealt with before we teamed up together. So it's because of one thing and one thing only, and it's because you don't have a system. In one of my recent videos, I broke down the exact 4-part system. This video is going to be similar. It's just going to be the initial setup. But I recommend after this video, you go and watch this one if you haven't already. So check that out on my page after. Stick around for this one, though, because this is going to be very helpful. So to sum it up, you have an offer, you have expertise, and you probably have an audience. But without a backend that actually converts, you're just hoping people randomly decide to give you money, right? So if you take all this away, you're hoping, and hopefully you know this, hope is not a strategy, right? It's not. It will never work in the long run. So I'm going to break down exactly what I would do step by step to get my dashboard from looking like a bunch of zeros to looking like this, right? 165K in lifetime revenue and more. So week 1, we're going to build the conversion infrastructure. So very first step is understanding the ICP. You cannot start anything until you do this. So we're going to do some deep ICP research and we're going to build out the VSL copy based on that. The foundation is a crystal clear understanding of your ICP, the copy of the framework for your landing page. You have to write it based on the ICP because you can't write copy that converts if you don't understand your audience's exact pain points in their own words. This research is the foundation for everything. If you think of it as a house, it's the concrete that you lay it down, it's the bricks that you first place on. Without it, everything crumbles. Nothing will work. So you have to get this right for the rest of it to compound and actually work as a backend. So you're going to figure out their age, their current situation, their futures, their goals, the key struggles, their objections. You need to understand these people better than they understand themselves. I wouldn't touch a keyboard yet. I'd spend day 1 understanding the ICP, like I said, to get them to understand them better than they understand themselves. So first things first, I would go into Facebook groups, Reddit threads, YouTube comments, DMs and emails I've received in the past, and then obviously Twitter and X threads and stuff. You want to go on places where these people chat. They talk about their raw, honest realities so that you can understand their wording, their pain points, their goals, exactly what you need to in order to sell them on the solution. So you're going to go through, write down every pain point they mention. Just Write them all out on a Google Doc. It doesn't have to be fancy. And then once you're done with that, you're going to go in and you're going to categorize them on these 4 different terms, okay? So you're going to have technical struggles, which is, for an example, I don't know how to build funnels. You're going to have time struggles, which is a big one in the B2B industry. Money struggles, right? So wasting money on ads, or they just don't have enough money to buy themselves a car or help out their parents. Confidence struggles. This is a really big one in B2C, obviously. So they feel imposter syndrome. They feel like they don't have what it takes. They need to go to college, get a 9 to 5. And then once you have all this, you understand this, you're going to open up ChatGPT and feed it everything. Now, I have a very systemized SOP version of doing this. I did leave that out of this video, but I do have a free document to give you, which is this right here. So this is the perfect VSL template framework. It's a 7-minute high converting offer. You can pause the video and read it if you like. You can also just DM me on Instagram and I'll send you this document and the exact prompt that I plug into ChatGPT in order to get out very, very well-written VSLs. Okay, so my Instagram is in the description right below. Click the link, DM me. I'll send you this for completely free. I'm not even going to take your email or anything. Now, obviously, I wouldn't just use it as is. Okay, AI has a lot of em dashes. They have a lot of run-on sentences. They have a lot of where they compile 3 things together, right? So whether it's something like you want to be smart, savvy, rich. Like, you can tell if you're in the marketing industry at all when something is AI written. So make sure you go back in, humanize it, spend some time editing it, and like this says, inject personality, inject specific stories. Now, the rough structure is going to be hook, story, proof, system, CTA. Okay, and I always aim for 5 to 10 minutes. For this prompt, it's 7 minutes, right? But it's never exact. It depends on your tonality, your pacing, if you want to add anything else. But long story short, have this done by day 3, right? At the latest. That's moving slow, honestly. You want to have VSL copy that's basically done by day 3. Once you have that, we're going to build the landing page, okay? This is the money maker along with the VSL. You need a high converting landing page that talks to your audience, your ICP, and is able to convert, right? So a complete VSL landing page that pre-sells the people before they even get on a call or even think about getting on a call, honestly. Like I said, this is your money maker. If this page doesn't convert, nothing else matters. You need it to print money just like this, okay? The landing page is the foundation, along with the VSL and understanding your ICP. This is another one of those foundation pieces that without it, and without it being correct and built right, everything else after it will fall apart because you're going to have a leaky bucket that leaks right here. So, look, I'm not a designer. I don't need to be. I use GHL card, or my new favorite is actually Lovable. It's going to take me forever to spell this out, so I won't. But Lovable AI. It's a SaaS builder. It also builds very beautiful websites, and that's what I've been using for my clients recently. You can check it out. It's pretty cheap. And that's what I would do because you don't have to be a designer to make a very pretty website. So plug in your copy, structure it, and then you're going to have a VSL and a VSL landing page done. So for the basic sections, if you want to copy this, it's going to be your hero and your hook, which is obviously the above the fold. The way I like to do it is eyebrow, which is an ICP callout. Then you're going to have your main header, which introduces your unique mechanism and the result. And then a sub-headline right below that, which has objection handling. So just the most common objections that you found when you were researching your ICP. You're going to have your story section, so just getting to know you as the coach and as someone they might spend multiple thousands of dollars on. Proof section, this is pretty self-explanatory. It's just a bunch of testimonials. And then you're going to explain the system you actually use. So what is the mechanism? What are they going to do to get X result? More proof, really just flood them with testimonials, screenshots, videos. Diversifying your testimonials is very important. So having multiple different kinds and multiple different people as testimonials, right? The person that was already rich before and then the person that was young and had to drop out of college. That way, depending on who comes through your funnel, they'll still resonate with a testimonial you have on your landing page. And then just have a final CTA that sends them to the type form or application, however you want to run your funnel. And then obviously you want to polish and test, okay? So you got to make sure everything works. There are a lot of moving parts, especially once you add in automations using Zapier or GHL. So you want to make sure all the links work, especially redirecting. So for me, after someone applies, they're going to get redirected to the booking page. After they book, they're going to get redirected to the pre-call page. So making sure all of that flows naturally and correctly is very important. So testing the application form, checking mobile responsiveness. This is a big thing because across all niches that I've worked with, there's no exception. Mobile is about 70 to 80% of the views on a landing page. So you need to make sure it's optimized for mobile. You're going to obviously build it on computer, and that's something I see a lot of people mess up on, is they'll build it on computer, it'll look great on PC, laptops, maybe even tablets, but the second you open it on a phone, it looks like shit. And that's where 80% of your traffic is driving to. So make sure to not forget that. If you're running ads, you need to add tracking pixels. Obviously, that's pretty simple. And then just getting feedback from some people. Obviously, you're going to have friends in your industry. Maybe you have some people that are already interested in coaching. Just get their general feedback on it. Now, when I built this same system for my fitness client, we went from a very generic book a call funnel that he made in like an hour with card to a full VSL page in 3 days of focus work, right? With ICP callouts, very good VSL. Everything was much, much better. And it showed, right? We went from 20 apps a month to around 40. And that was months ago. Now we're doing 100 plus apps, obviously. And then his show rate jumps from 30 to 61%. Now, I want to preface, 61% still isn't high. And I'm going to get to that in a minute here on how we jumped it even more. But that's over double just from the VSL page looking good, right? And then having the pre-call and everything like that. Same traffic, different page. That's the big message I want to get across here. Now, we need to build the pre-call email sequence because this is going to shoot our show rates up even more, okay? So it's a minimum of a 5 email sequence that goes out between the application or the book call and then when people actually show up to the call or when they're supposed to. Most coaches lose probably 50 to 70% of booked calls due to no-shows. And you're not going to be one of them if you're watching this video, okay? Because we're going to fix it right here. So this is the MVP for what this would look like. And when I say that, I mean minimum viable product, okay? This is the least amount of work that you need to do for this. I have gone upwards of 4 to 6 emails a day pre-call instead of just 5 in general. So this is something to test. My general rule of thumb is send them emails, spam them as much as you can, up to 4 to 6 a day until your open rate starts dropping off. And then when that drops off, you realize, okay, I've capped out the capacity at which they care to open these emails, so I'll lower it back down to 3 a day or whatever it may be. But the basic way to outline this is the first one is obviously just going to be a confirmation, right? So we're sending them pre-call materials. We're ensuring that they've clicked yes on the calendar invite, so it's on their calendar. They get the reminders, and just making them excited to join the call. So that's email 1. Now, email 2 is going to be stacking social proof, right? So we're going to send them testimonials, a personal story of a testimonial. And that's going to be ideally a video, like a video sit-down interview of you and the client talking about how they went from X to Y, whatever it may be. And the goal here is obviously to build trust and show proof it works, so they come up to the call with that specific objection handled. And then email 3, this is just going to be building value and more objection handling. I mean, every email is objection handling, but this one specifically is going to be for whatever we discovered in the ICP research. So instead of just handing them a bunch of testimonials, this one's going to be talking through those objections. And the goal here is to remind them and then reinforce the value. So we're handling those objections and then we're hammering the value that this creator, this coach provides to them. And then email 4, this is going to be like a 2-hour reminder, a couple hours before the call. Biggest thing here, it's just a reminder, right? So making sure that show rate is optimized. We're going to handle last minute cold feet. So just really adding incentives for them to join, getting them hyped for the call, and just making sure they don't forget about it. And then I did throw in an email 5 here, which is a no-show recovery email. Now, this should probably be a sequence as well of around 4 to 5 emails sent out 3 days prior or after the no-show happens. But the first one needs to go out immediately, right? So once they no-show, you're going to send them something along the lines of, you missed your call today, right? We don't want this to be super pressuring. We want this to feel understanding and as if we're being gracious enough to give them another chance. And obviously the goal here is self-explanatory. We're just going to try to recover those no-shows. Now, we need to figure out how to write this, right? I have a very detailed SOP of this as well, but I dumbed it down a little bit for the simplicity of this video. I like to use Claude, or I like to use my custom GPTs in ChatGPT, right? If you don't make those, Claude is the better option. But I'm going to release a video here probably in the next 2 or 3 videos that I post, and it's going to be a crazy deep dive on how I use AI to write my copy. And what I do, spoiler alert, is I create custom GPTs for my clients that sound like them, talk like them, they write like them, and they sell like them. So it's very optimized. I'm going to break down exactly how to do that. But for the time being, just use Claude. It works pretty well. I would give it a prompt, something like this. Obviously, you need to weaponize it with your ICP, with your VSL, your offer. Give it all of the data it needs so it's not guessing, and then it can create those email sequences for you. Obviously, after they've created them, go back in, humanize them, read over them, fix mistakes, add value to it, whatever you need to do. Don't just copy and paste an AI written email sequence, okay? That's very important. And then I would set up the automation in GHL, ConvertKit, Zapier, whichever one you prefer. There's a lot of options. But you're just going to connect Calendly in the application form. And then when someone books the call, you're going to schedule the emails, right? I personally use ConvertKit for email marketing. I just like it. It's what I learned on and everything. And it's very simple to set up a sequence. And then I use Zapier to trigger it whenever someone books in a call with Calendly. I also like to unsubscribe them from the sequence when their call is scheduled to begin. That way they're not getting pre-call emails after the fact. That's something I see people mess up a lot. It's not a big deal. It's just a little awkward if they've already taken the call and they're getting pre-call messages. And then obviously you're going to want to test it, okay? So the results of this system that I just talked about was for my fitness client. We went from 61%, right, like we went over, but 39% of the people who still booked didn't show, okay? So we're missing out on almost half of the people that book a call. When we added this email sequence, in 2 days, the show rate went to 84%. It jumped huge, right? So that's 10 extra calls per month. And at a 38% close rate, which was our operating close rate at the time, that's 4 extra clients. Now, if it's a $3,000, $5,000 program, that's $12,000 to $20,000 in extra monthly revenue for you. So that's just something to keep in mind. You got to play the doubles game where you find your data and you fix it, and then the money comes in like never before. It's insane. So now let's build a sales call system. You can tell I'm bringing it ladder by ladder. We're starting with the foundations, and now we're going into optimizing everything else. So let's build a sales call system. This is a complete sales call system for proven scripts tailored for your offer, objection handling frameworks, CRM pipeline to track every lead. All of that's very important, because without a script and without tracking, you're flying, okay? Your close rate will be inconsistent. You don't know what's working. You can't really scale. So you have to script out the sales call based on whatever you've learned previously with your ICP and all of that research. If I have never taken a sales call before for this offer, whatever it may be, this is what I would do. I would research competitor sales processes. So actually funnel hack, go through some of your competitors, see what their sales process looks like. Watch some sales call breakdowns on YouTube. There's some very good people out there that their entire job and their entire personal brand is based around teaching people how to sell. So look at those, do your research, and then study objection handling. That's one of the biggest things. You can have a very clean sales call, fundamentally correct, and then someone could give you one objection and you crumble. So you need to study those as well, be able to combat those objections. And this is the structure that I would use. It's very repeatable. Obviously, you need to customize it, but it's easy to customize. You're going to build rapport. You're going to do discovery, which is obviously just understanding them entirely so that you build stuff that you can use against them later in the call, honestly. You're going to reframe their mindset and their limiting beliefs. You're going to propose the solution. And then, like I said, you have to objection handle. And then after that's done, close. Very simple framework. I mean, you can pause it if you want to read more about it. The biggest thing is customizing this for your offer. What objections are you going to see? what questions you need to ask in discovery to make it effective when you present the solution, and then have to handle objections. So just stuff like that. Obviously, if you haven't already, I would identify the top 5 objections, know what those are going into the call so you can be prepared, and then have specific responses for each one so you're not caught off guard. Now, we need to set up the CRM tracking as well. So I would set up the pipelines in GHL. That's just kind of the go-to for this industry. GHL works very well. The most simple CRM you could set up as far as pipelines go would be something like this. Application submitted, they get zapped in there once they submit a Typeform application. And then you have call booked, call completed, and then closed or lost, right? So whether they book a call and they no-show, they're going to go here. If they book a call and they close, boom. If they book a call and they're just not interested, again, they're going to go to lost. It's just a way for you to keep up with where they are, if you need to do follow-ups, and not letting leads just slip through the cracks, right? That's the biggest thing in all of these systems. So then I would create automations for the stage transitions. So, just making sure new applications actually get sent to the stage. What happens when someone is closed? Do you need a welcome email sequence? You can set that up as well through an automation. I would trigger notifications when someone moves a stage. So whether it's you or whether you have reps, they know, okay, there's someone in application submitted. I need to dial them ASAP, right? Just making sure everyone's on top of it. Tags, so you know where leads are coming from. If you're running ads and organic, you can sort these leads using tags, right? So if someone opts in through your organic landing page, you can put an organic tag on them, vice versa for ads. And then a dashboard to track conversion rates. This is a totally different topic. You can use Looker Studio, you can use AI tools now, but having a tracker that tracks show rate, close rate, AOV, LTV, all of the numbers, it's going to help you make the changes that you need instead of walking around changing things blindly. Now, once all that's done, you obviously want a mid-ticket downsell. Trust me, I've seen people ignore this and then implement it and make an extra $20,000, $40,000 a month just like that within the first month of implementing it. What this looks like is a $500 to $1,500 offer for people who want your help but can't afford the high-ticket program. 40% of people who book calls, if not more, are going to be people that want to buy but can't afford your main offer. So without a downsell, you're leaving $2,000 to $3,000 on the table for every 10 calls, if that's the math we're using. And with that, you're probably leaving some cool shit that you could buy, right? Like, I bought this car when I implemented downsells for my clients because my revenue went up, their revenue went up, and I bought a C7. So implement this if you haven't already. It's very easy because if you've already built out a high ticket offer, you can take a segment off of that that's still very valuable and sell it for $500, $1,000 and convert like crazy on it. So build that out as well. You want to define and structure your entire offer. So your high ticket, your mid ticket, usually it goes high ticket is done for you, mid ticket is done with you, right? Those are two very different things. It's not a watered down version. That's something you need to understand. It's just a different product entirely. So with high ticket, you may build out the entire system for them. You may manage everything for them. And with mid-ticket, you just give them the templates, the frameworks, the course, whatever it may be. Obviously, it's different depending on B2B or B2C. But what you want to outline is what they get, okay? The delivery method and timeline, and then the success criteria. So what does it look like to actually succeed? What do they want? What's the outcome? How are we going to get there? Just being actually mindful of what you're selling and the system that you're going to use to get a client from A to B. And then obviously you're going to create the assets. So a simple landing page for mid-ticket, which if you want, let me know in the comments. I can make an entire video about mid-tickets. The sales script, obviously for downsell, email sequence, this is really important. When someone applies and they're not financially qualified and we revert them to the mid-ticket instead of high-ticket, they also automatically subscribe to a mid-ticket email sequence that sells them on that, nurtures them on it, and handles any objections they may have of why they got sent to a mid-ticket. So that's important. And then just the delivery plan. So This is very simple. Obviously, you're going to want to do more to it than just this, but you can always talk to AI, feed it a prompt like this of creating a curriculum, what needs to be covered, what's the best order to put it in. This just speeds up your workflow, so you're not sitting on an empty Google Doc for 2 hours trying to figure out how to structure your program. And after that, your mid-ticket's ready to sell, right? 4 out of 10 people wanted to buy, but they didn't have the money. So we built a $1,000 mid-ticket offer in 2 days. That's what we just went over. And now he captures 2 to 3 of those for at $997 each. So we're capturing an extra $1,000 for each of these. And like we said earlier, that is an extra $2,000 to $3,000 per 10 calls. For this specific guy, my fitness creator, he went from $22,000 to $71,000 a month in 2 months, putting all of this together, right? Not just from mid-ticket, but putting all of this video together and in action. As you scale and as you optimize all this, you're going to want to create SOPs. That way, when you hire, when you scale out, when you need to do this over and over again, you have these documents where you can refer back to them. I myself have created an immense SOP for my agency on how to do exactly what I'm teaching here. There's copy and paste email scripts, copy and paste AI prompts, like the VSL one that I offered to send you guys. Like, I have a crazy SOP to speed up this entire process for me. So that's the 2-week roadmap. That's what it looks like. That's what's included. Now I want to go over why this works specifically so you understand and you actually believe what I'm saying. Now, number 1 is priority order matters. Most coaches start with ads or content before their back end is ready or honestly even thought about. So they're pouring water into a very leaky bucket, right? Like, this is your bucket, you got a big hole right here, and water is just flowing through, and all you're doing is spending money up here, and the water's flowing through, right? You haven't even thought about doing your back end. So this roadmap builds the back end first, so that when traffic comes, it converts, and this hole is plugged, right? It's no more. You're just filling up your bucket with more money, which is what we all want to do, right? ROAS. I mean, that's the point. It's lean. It's not bloated, okay? What I went over, it's not too much. It's just enough, and it's the right amount. You're not building a million automations or fancy features. You're building 4 core systems that are built to actually drive revenue. You're building the VSL landing page, pre-call email sequence, the sales call system, and then the mid-ticket downsell. And that's it. Everything else is noise. Everything else is a waste of time, at least in the 0 to 100K a month range. Number 3, it's based on real data. Okay, every step is informed by what I've seen work across 50 different clients in over a dozen different niches. So it's not theory, it's a proven system that I've used time and time again to generate over $1.5 million for my clients. It's very repeatable, okay? Again, I built this system for fitness coaches, trading mentors, all the other ones you see listed. They're different niches, they're different offers at different price points, but I use the same backend because the fundamentals of conversions don't change. Obviously, the copy is very different. The VSLs can be different. The actual system itself is so different. But the backend, at its core, stays the same. Speed forces focus. Okay, I see a lot of people spend months building out their backends, using it as an excuse to not launch their coaching program or not scale their coaching program yet. But when you give yourself only 2 weeks or even 1 week, you can't waste time on things that don't matter. You have to build the essentials, right? So you test, you launch. There's no perfectionism paralysis that stops you from making progress. There's no overthinking, just execution. Now, here's the biggest mistakes that coaches make. And I want you to pay attention if you are a coach because you've probably fallen into this trap before. First, they try to do everything themselves over months, right? So you're doing everything yourself while running your own business, right? The main source of your income. So you're already a successful business owner. You know how to delegate. But for some reason, when it comes to your coaching funnel, you think you need to figure everything out by yourself. So you spend 3 months trying to learn Figma, trying to write VSL copy, trying to set up all the automations. And by the time you're done, you've already lost $50,000 in potential revenue. and your funnel still looks and converts like shit. Okay, so that's number one. Number two is, like I mentioned earlier, they build in the wrong order. So you start with ads before a landing page is done. They start with the sales calls before the email sequence is set up. They try to scale before the close rate is stable. Order matters very much. And if you don't build the foundation first, everything crumbles, conversions lower, and you just don't make money the way you should be from your offer. Number three is they overcomplicate it. They try to build 47 different automations. They spend weeks perfecting the design of the landing page, and they add features that nobody asked for and nobody's going to use for real. Simple beats complex every single time, okay? Now, it's a different story when you're making $500, $1 million a month, 500K, I mean, because you need more complicated systems, teams, build outs for that. But when we're talking about that 0, 50K, 100K a month range, you need to keep it compact and very, very not complex, okay? You need to make it simple. So if you're currently making 10 to 20K per month from your coaching program, and someone said that they can get you to 40 to 60K a month in 2 weeks, what's that worth to you? An extra 30 to 50K per month is $360 to $600,000 per year. So would you spend 2 weeks of focused work to unlock that? Or would you pay someone 10 to 20,000 to build it for you in 2 weeks? Of course you would, because the return on investment there is absolutely massive, right? Whether you spend the time doing it yourself or you hire a professional to do it for you for 10 to 20K, your return on investment is massive, right? You're looking at an extra 6 figures per year just by cracking the systems that are proven and have worked for all the different niches, all the different clients that I've worked with before. So if you're sitting here thinking, I need to build this system, but I don't have the time, which is completely understandable if you're already running another business, you have 2 options that I would recommend. Option 1 is you follow this 2-week roadmap yourself. You try to block off the best you can, 6 to 8 hours a day for 14 days. You build everything step by step, test, launch, start driving traffic, and see what you can do yourself. The biggest constraint here is time. Option 2 is you work with someone who's built this exact system 50 plus times and can have it done for you within 2 weeks while you focus on your main business and building out your content and coaching. So if you want me to just build out the entire process for you and have it done in the next 14 days, the same one that I've used to generate $1.5 million for coaches just like you, check out the link in the description. You're going to be able to watch a VSL that I made speaking directly to you. If it's a good fit, you're going to know it. You're going to want to book a call and at least talk to me to hear me out. But look, I work with a small number of coaches at a time because it is a lot of work to build these out. So make sure you're serious. Make sure this is what you want. And if so, book a call down below and we can talk about building out a complete conversion system from scratch within 14 days.